Okay, what's happening, everybody? Today we're going to cover lab exercise 3, reports, forms, and calculated fields. So, reports are fundamentally a read-only way of looking at data. So whatever you have, if it's shown in a report, it's the digital equivalent of a printout copy that you hand off to somebody. Basically, it's read-only, meaning users that are looking at that data, they can't go in and change it. They can just see what's there. And sometimes you want to enforce that, as a general policy. Forms have a default setting that show whatever data you're going to show, but if it's from, a database table like the database view, users can alter what's there. However, when you're creating a report, you have the option to lock certain data, meaning that viewers can't edit it. So you can set it to be entirely read-write. You can have portions of it be read-only. Of course, if you were going to do the whole thing as read-only, might as well do it as a report. And then last, calculated fields. Calculated fields are ways that you can take data that's in your tables, do some manipulations on it, some arithmetic operations, for example, and show those results along with whatever other data you might want to show. So for example, if you have a list of invoices, each with a certain sales amount, at the bottom of your report, you might want to be able to show the sum, right? Rather than just giving the long report of 10,000 individual invoice transaction amounts and then leaving it to the user to do that math themselves. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is a few reports. So download the file LX3 from Blackboard. Once you've got it, you go to Create and go to Report Wizard. Okay, we're going to take 3 fields from table customer. So we're going to take last name and first name and zip code. Okay, click Finish and boom, we'll see the result. Here we have the list of users, right? So last name, first name, and zip code. Notice that there's not any particular order to it, right? So these customers, there is an order that they're displayed, but it's actually the order of the ID field within the customer table, which is not going to be very useful. So if you have a long list of customers, naturally you might want to have some sort of sorting on it, or even some grouping by zip code, for example. So we're going to jump ahead and do that. But before we do, we're going to look at the nature of the form itself. So we're in the print preview here. We can close that, and then we can find ourselves in the design view. Now, there's 2 ways the data that, form contents can be displayed. Number one is just as text. So our page headers and our whole report header that says customer, those you see, they're transparent boxes. We can see all the dots behind them. So anything you see in a box like that is just going to be the text that's displayed the way it is. Anything that's in an opaque box, like these ones here that are, blocking all the dots behind them, that's where the actual data is going to be shown. So this box would contain each record, each line of the form would show, or the report would show the last name, then the first name, then the zip code for each record in the database. Okay, now down here in the footer, that's the stuff at the bottom of each page, we see a few things. Number one, there's a now function. So now is a standard function that's built into Microsoft Access that basically gets whatever the current date is. And there's different formats you can do for it. You can have a complete timestamp with, hours, minutes, seconds, fractions of seconds, and the time zone you're in. Or this one just does a generic, day and month and year. So if we go to report view, down there you see Sunday, September 17th, 2023. Next thing, lower right-hand corner. Lower right-hand corner uses concatenated strings. What that is a bunch of text all run together. So anything that's inside quotes, that's just literal text that, the software is just going to print what it's given. So here it'll be the word page. Here it'll be of with a space before and after. Inside the square brackets, that's going to be a variable that's read from somewhere. So in this case, page inside square brackets, that's the current page. So this is the first page of a 1-page report. So that's going to be page 1. Here's pages is the total number of pages. So however the document is formatted, however many pages the data takes to hold, that's going to be the pages number. In this case, it's just going to be 1 of 1, but that's okay. And then the ampersands, the and symbols here, those join the different bits of text together. So when we take all this, we'll get page 1 of 1. Right, that's how that's printed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to look at sorting. So let's go ahead, close this out. We don't need it anymore. We're going to do a new report wizard. So go to Create, go to Report Wizard, And once again, we're going to add those 3 fields from customer. So last name, first name, and zip code, and go to next. So the first thing we see here is grouping options. Now, if your setup does not automatically grab zip code and put it as the grouping option, then you're fine. In this case, ours did, so we got to remove it to make the application work, right? To make it work the same as the lab exercise. So just pull that over to the side with the, with the remove arrow. And then we can print, right? We can finish. So kaboom, right? So we were going to do sorting. Let's go back to the edit, back to design view. I'm just going to kill that one. I'm going to redo it. Let's see here. Delete. There we go. Yes, I can delete this. All right, we're going to do that again. Second time's the charm. All right, so once again, customer, last name, first name, and zip code. We're going to do phone number. Yeah, okay, we're going to do next. Going to remove zip code. Okay, going to go to next. And for sorting, we're going to pick the 2 options, last name and first name, to sort in ascending order. So this means, the list will be ordered alphabetically by last name. Ascending for text means A to Z. For numbers, it would be, in increasing order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. If you wanted to go the other way, reverse alphabetical or decreasing order, you'd use descending. All right, so go to next. We'll just do finish. We don't care. We'll leave it. Okay, so here you can see the names are sorted by last name, and that's great. Okay, if multiple users did have the same last name, then of course, first name would be the tiebreaker there. And zip codes are just kind of scattered around. All right, last report we're going to do is, last report we're going to do is with, let me just get out of that, is with grouping. Okay, so once again, go to create, go to report wizard, select those 3 fields from customer, last name, first name, and zip code, and do next. Now, if zip code is already there at the top, you're fine. If not, you'll have to add it. Okay, and we'll do ascending order. So last name and first name. What this is going to do is group our data by zip code. So the first zip code will have its list of people in alphabetical order. Then the next zip code will have its people in alphabetical order, and so on. If we want to just click finish, and boom, you can see the way it is, right? So for 60101, they're all sorted alphabetically. For 60102, which is the next zip code, all sorted alphabetically, and so on. All right, so that's not too bad, I hope. All right, we're done with that. Close it out. Next thing we're going to do is forms. So forms, again, the creation process is pretty simple, pretty similar. You select the fields you're going to use from some tables, and ultimately then you have the option to set whether any of them are locked, whether they're not editable. By default, they are. So we'll go to the form wizard. Once again, we're going to select our same fields, last name and first name and zip code, all from customer. And let's just go ahead and finish. Oh, we're going to do all the fields, actually. We're going to do all the fields and finish. Okay, so one thing we can do here is we can scroll through, all right, we can scroll through that form, right, and look at different ones. Now, if we wanted to, we could edit any of these. For example, if it turns out his name isn't Matthew, he prefers to be called Matt, you could just type that in. That would be fine. Or Control Z to undo that. Okay. But sometimes you want to lock fields, right? If you just want to have certain data not be editable, you can go and look at the design view. All right, so right here at the design view, and you can set certain fields to be locked. So we're going to close out that field list. Once again, just like with reports, if it's a box that you can see through to the dots behind it, that's just a text label being displayed. But if it's one that's blocking the dots behind it, then you can, that's going to be the actual data that's being shown. So the first thing we're going to look at is the entire form. So right click on some empty part of the screen here, empty part of this window, and select form properties. Okay, form properties let us select properties that apply to the entire form. So for example, if we want to ban edits everywhere in the form and just basically turn it into a report, right, we could change that to no with the drop-down menu. Other things you can do, additions, deletions, same things. If you want to say nobody can add new records, you can set that to being not allowed. If you want nobody to be able to delete existing records, you can set that to not allowed. Okay. But suppose you just want to change some existing field, right? You say, for example, we want to be able to change last name or first name. Those might change. Zip code might change, street because people move, phone number might change. But suppose we want to prevent somebody from accidentally doing something like changing the ID field of a customer. Okay, so maybe we right click in that one and then go down to properties, right? Properties are already there, but we don't have to go down to it, but that's where it would be. Okay, but over here in this panel, right? So we click on that and then we get, aha, enabled. If I want to lock that one, I just do the yes, set that one to lock. Now, if I go back and view this in the form view, okay, I can change Royster to Jones, and I can change Calvin to Fred, and I can change zip code to 60103, and I can change ID. Nope, typing that in, and if you see down below, it says control can't be edited. It's bound to auto number field ID. So this is one I can't change. Okay. All right, so I undid the changes and it's fine. We're going to leave that. Okay. So that's how you do locks. That's how forms work. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to do is calculated fields. So again, it's very often useful to show combined data that somehow results from some mathematical operations, right? So if you have a sales figure, you might want to combine those sales figures into some kind of total quantity. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our item table. This is very important. If you don't do this step, everything's going to go off the rails later on. It'll be hard to figure out why. Okay, so this is an important part. So go to item. We're going to double click on item to bring up that table. And here where it says click to add, hit that drop down menu, and we're going to add a currency value. Okay, so let's call it item price. Right, then we'll have that, and we are going to enter values for this. So the first one I'm going to do 2, and I'm just going to do the arrows to navigate down. 2, 3, 3.5, 4, and 4.5. So those are all the data that's supposed to be added there. Okay, so if it looks like that, then you're good. Close out the item table. And now we're going to do some queries. So go to create, and we'll jump straight to the query design view. Ta-da. And we'll drag over our item and purchase tables because those are the ones that are going to be involved in this because we need to verify that this relationship exists, which it should. We're just verifying that it does. All right, so double click on the fields purchase.item, purchase.quantity, and item.id. Okay, so purchase.item, and you'll see it ends up down below there, and purchase.quantity ends below there, and item.id. Dun, dun, dun. So we have that. Now we'll have access to all of this information. Okay, it'll appear in our query. So run the query and you're going to see some duplicate entries, right? So let's hit that exclam, boom. You can see for item number 1, there's a couple of duplicate results, right? And you can see for item number 5, there's a couple of duplicate results. Well, we don't want that. We want to combine the sales. So we're going to go back to the query's design view. And the way we can implement this is by including totals. This allows a lot of grouping options. So click on totals, this big capital sigma here, kaboom. And what we're going to do, okay, we're going to select the sum option, right? So right where group by appears for quantity here, click on that in the purchase.quantity column and hit the drop down menu that appears. And we're going to do group by sum. And then we're just going to see the sum of those results. So run the query again. And boom, now it's combined our 2 entries for item 1 into a single query result and our 2 items for item 5, our 2 entries for item 5 into a single result as well. Okay, next one we're going to do is total sales. Okay, so all of this stuff that's being done for individual records, we're going to combine all of that together. So once again, go back to our design view of our query. Okay, design view, and we're going to add in a 4th column. So 4th column, do sales purchase.quantity times item.item price. Have this here in Notepad if you want to look at it. There it is. That's what it should look like. Okay, so what this means, sales, that's going to be the label of the column, and what's going to actually appear in the cell is going to be the calculation for that purchase's quantity times that item's particular price. Okay, so kaboom. And then once again for this one, the cell that should have group by, right? This one where it says the total, we're going to do group by there and do the drop down menu to once again do sum. So we're going to combine those results together. And if the show box isn't visible, make sure that that is clicked and then hit run. And boom, now we have the total sales for all these things, right? Item 1, sum of quantity 12, right? 12, we knew the price for that was 2, so 12 times 2 is 24. Likewise, for item 5, it was $4 each. The sum of quantity is 30, so total sales is 30 times 4 is $120. Ta-da! Okay, and that's it. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you some other time. All right, meeting is ending.